Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts Wide Open. This is episode number 2 and we are here with Surush and myself, Dennis. As you can maybe hear, we've got some new microphones in. Yes. So we've gotten some great feedback on the last episodes and we thought we definitely want to continue doing this podcast. So we invested a little bit into some good audio for you guys, so it's more pleasant to listen as well as we share our stories on mental health related stories from two young men. So far that's Surush and I, and in the future we might also have some guests on. Let's see
how it goes. And before we start, I also want to say hi. Hi guys.
Nice one. Very smooth.
I just see the stickers on your phone and it's smiley. It is 2 of them. I think I thought about us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I always get happy vibes when we're starting and we're recording.
Yeah, we do. It's one of the days I'm really looking forward to do.
Yeah. I'm not always, but sometimes before the podcast I'm a bit anxious, and today especially I was not sure if I'm in the right mental space, but then I thought if we start, I think I'm gonna feel it, and I'm already feeling it now. So
same. Actually, if you remember last night we had this is interesting because this is also kind of a bridge toward the topic that we're gonna talk about today. And last night I was talking with Dennis, and I was also telling him that, hey, maybe tomorrow we shouldn't actually record because I was also not feeling very well, and I also have maybe too much on my plate from work and personal life. But I think both of us pushed ourselves a little bit, and for us it was like, it's okay, even if it's not perfect, we're gonna be vulnerable.
Yes.
Whoa. And we're still gonna record because I think we also want to be persistent toward this process.
For sure. I think consistency is also key in this to continue on this path of regularly releasing episodes and continuing the conversation for you guys as well, and to create that space for men to be vulnerable. And we want to be vulnerable today, and our topic of today is actually vulnerability.
Yeah.
And we looked a little bit into it, and of course I think we all have our individual definitions of what it means to be vulnerable. But if you look at Cambridge Dictionary, it actually says that vulnerability as a quality is to be able to be easily hurt, influenced, or attacked. And this, I think you can take it in different ways, and there's still a lot of room for interpretation.
Can you read it again?
Yeah, so
maybe a little bit slower so I can actually...
Yeah, so vulnerability as a quality is the ability to be easily hurt, influenced, or attacked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as I said, I think there's a lot of room for interpretation there, and that's why I'm very curious, Surush, what is your view on vulnerability, or what is your definition of vulnerability?
So for me, my definition of vulnerability, maybe on a more personal take rather than comparing to the Cambridge Dictionary, is, again, personal for me. It's something that I really want, and it's a quality that really makes me happy. It can be about myself or about other things that I want to do with my life, my looks, or physical, or like emotional. But I'm a little bit afraid to show it, because maybe I feel like if I do this, if I show people this side of me, maybe they think less of me, and then I'm not maybe able to make that connection with those people, or maybe they will judge me. I'm maybe more afraid of the judgment.
So you think by being vulnerable, you also basically others can more easily judge you? And
for me, it's to literally describe it, I feel like it's being naked. That I put myself on a plate and I say, hey, this is Surush on a plate. And this is me in every aspect. These are my insecurities. This is what makes me happy. Even though it might not be accepted within the society, this is me and I like it.
Okay.
This is my definition.
That sounds actually very courageous to be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And are you like, do you feel like you are able to always do that in your life now, or like how's that been for you?
For sure, I would say not always. I believe one of the biggest aspect of vulnerability is courage. Definitely, you have to have this courage to expose yourself on a plate and be proud of who you are. This is for me courage. I can say I am much happier, much more courageous person right now compared to the Sarush that I was maybe 5 years ago.
So take us back. Like how was this 5 year? Like let's say 5 years back. Like how are you
How
there?
it was,
Like,
yeah.
how was that?
So maybe if I look back 5 years ago, and some part of it, maybe it was because I was always protected by my family that, yeah, if you want this, we will provide it for you.
Okay.
Or if you want this, we can get it to you. And I was kind of isolated in a place that, well, within your family that you're always loved and cared for. Well, most of the time, if you're lucky. And I didn't see my vulnerability so much because it's like, yeah, your mom telling you, oh, you're my perfect son, or you're always good at the school, or your friends really love you, and these kind of things. And I always, maybe because of this, I always listened to what my parents had to tell me, even though I didn't really like it. And for me, it was like, okay, if it makes them happy, I will behave in this way. Or also, maybe because in Iran, it's not super free. So you cannot really expose the person that you are and do the things that you want to a certain extent. And I feel like you kind of live this path that to a certain level is defined for you by, for example, your family, your parents, and maybe the government.
So is it right if I say that 5 years ago you also knew yourself less, like you knew less who you actually are, so that also makes it harder to be maybe vulnerable because you don't even know what you stand for, what your personal values are, what you care about in life.
I know myself more now. Back then, yes, as you said it in a very good way. I always followed this path that takes people to places, and I didn't maybe knew so much what Surush likes, what kind of music do I like, what kind of dress do I like to wear, and I think when I moved away, it still helped a little when I moved from my hometown to Tehran when I was 18, because I think there is this essence when you leave home on discovering yourself that I went through, but still I wasn't maybe courageous enough to show it really, because I was afraid, oh, people are gonna judge me. What if I do this? What if that happened? What does this person think about me? But when I moved here and I started living life in Amsterdam more and more step by step, I was like, oh, there's this kind of music. Oh, you can dress like this. Oh, you can also act like this. And people don't care. I wouldn't say not everybody don't care, because people will judge you. People will be there and they will point at you. But I think I will definitely build that courage to say, hey, I like this. Even if you point at me, I don't care.
Yeah.
And Amsterdam, this is actually one of the most things that I like about Amsterdam, because Amsterdam and Berlin, maybe this is also biased toward my taste in music for techno, but I really do believe in these two cities from the cities that I travel to. You can really be yourself in a way that you can express yourself as who you are, how you dress, how you talk, how you behave, how you dance, and mostly people don't give a fuck. So it's, for me, it was really a platform to be myself. But still, it's a work in progress. I'm not saying, I'm still 100% okay. There are situations that I'm not courageous enough. There are days that I'm not vulnerable enough, and I'm scared.
And I think like it's interesting with these bigger European cities that you're mentioning, because I think it's probably not restricted to only Amsterdam, Berlin, but also other cities. But I like the common thing is that they're very big and the population there is very diverse, like a lot of different walks of life. So you have that diversity and all these different styles and beliefs and values that people have, ways of dressing or music taste, whatever that is. So there's more diversification in that. And
that is true.
Maybe that's also why you're like, all right, cool. So I'll just be my own self and have my own brand in all this. You're more free to, indeed, what you said, be yourself.
I think so.
Because even when I look at Tehran compared to Tabriz, where my family is from, Tabriz is a village, and like even if you walk on the street there, everyone knows who your family is. Yeah. And I feel a bit like even watched.
You feel seen. That's the thing. Like,
and you feel like you need to fit into certain societal norms, maybe more than if you live in a big city. I mean, I also feel this here, like compared to the town I grew up in Germany, or like when you're indeed with your family. That like there's like when you go back to your family, you're again the small Surush from back then, and you need to like fit into those things that were created for you. But like all the while you live in Amsterdam, you're completely free and you can do whatever you want, and everyone else is also doing what they want.
But this is the thing. I completely agree with what you say. But that's the thing about me now. This is the courage, when the courage kicks in. Even if I go back, I'm not the same Surush.
Yeah.
I'm 85 to 90% the Surush that is in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And I find it, I don't know, I find people like it, you know? It's one of, probably my parents wouldn't like it.
Because I mean, like I think they probably still like the path you're on, even if they don't can show that in that way.
But I don't know, I would describe it in a way that when you're really yourself and you're comfortable with who you are, you have this aura around you that, hey, this is me, I don't care what you think. Well, I'm respectful still toward your opinion, but I don't care what you think about me. Yeah. This is me on a plate. Yeah. Take it or leave it. But when people take this plate, I find it much more pure. Like they really connect with you. Like this, if you're really comfortable, vulnerable is not comfortable, by the way. This is the thing. It is a struggle. And for people who are vulnerable, still a struggle that you go through. But in my core now, I believe it is a beautiful struggle. It's worth it.
Yeah, like honestly, like something just really unlocked in my head, because I was thinking like, when you said, when I go back home, I'm still 85% the Surush from Amsterdam, that I'm here, the free one, the one that knows what he wants, the one that knows who he is. I really feel that too. Like when I go back home, I feel like there is this place for me to be in, but at the same time, I don't fit in that place anymore. And now I am this person, and I actually also speak to my family and friends at home about my developments and my self-realizations and who I am and my pains and my gains. And I think, like in those moments, I'm scared as well. Like, okay, what are they going to think? Are they going to judge me? But at the same time, once I actually shared those things that I really care about, I feel free. Like that's the thing. Like, and then I feel free, and most of the time, I feel more connected as well.
That's what I'm
because I feel like through just being yourself and being vulnerable and talk about like also your struggles, you're actually opening a door for another person to show empathy to you, to listen to you, to understand you, and to see who you are. And when people can see who you are, I think that's when they can really connect to you. No?
Yes, I think this is exactly what I'm saying. It's very freeing. That this feeling of I am myself, even though they might not like it, but this is me and I'm free. For me, it's very beautiful. But let's talk about maybe when was the last time you were vulnerable? Then.
Okay. Well, for me, the last time I was really vulnerable was actually yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So on Monday, I told you on Monday I went to my first therapy session with a new therapist I have, and we went into a childhood memory of mine doing schema therapy, I think it's called in English.
Okay.
So that's like going into childhood memories, identifying like some moments that really stuck with you, and then going in there with your therapist and like I think analyzing those moments a little bit, but then also like deciding on how you want to what happened there, what went wrong, and then redefining that moment in a way, and then like finding a new way how you would cope with similar situations in the future, so that you don't that you in extreme situations that you don't go back to your like childhood behavior and like, oh, I need to protect myself, even though maybe nowadays there's nothing to actually protect yourself from, because that's just your inner child asking for that. That's maybe a really I don't think I could properly explain schema therapy here. Maybe later on in my therapy, when I'm actually in a few more sessions, we could talk about this topic. So let us know if you're interested in that.
Okay.
But yeah, so as a result of that, I felt so confused. I had nightmares the night after, and also about my parents, actually, about my dad abandoning me because I was doing therapy, because in my head, he was really against that. And then...
This was in your dreams?
Yeah, this was in my dreams, indeed.
Okay.
And then the next day, I tried to call him because I really felt the need to talk to him.
Yeah.
And we normally talk for like, I don't know, half an hour about, let's say, more superficial, just day-to-day topics that you talk about with your parents. But this time, I told him about it, and then like we talked.
You told him about the dream that you had.
About the dream, indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going too fast, huh?
So this is already courage.
Yeah. So yeah, like
You
opening up about that, and I wasn't sure how he's gonna react, and I was so scared that he would actually abandon me in that moment.
Oh man.
Because I thought he had this negative view on therapy.
Okay.
And he would say no. Because like, I don't know, I think a lot of times in my childhood I was like gonna do something or go for something, like, I don't know, going abroad after school for a year to Canada to learn English, and he was like, no, you should stay close by, you know. Like, it felt like, yeah, this when I went to Iran to live there for a year, he's like, no, don't go there, stay here, it's safe.
That's the thing.
And so I put him in this,
to protect you.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, okay, he wants to protect me again, he doesn't want me to go to therapy because he's scared like what it's gonna do to me.
Yeah.
And then, like, we talked for 90 minutes, and he really also, like, then opened up to me about some of his childhood memories. And, I felt really heard and connected in that moment. And then he actually, in the end, I told him again, like, I think I put you in a box of that you're against this, what I want to do. He said, no, look, I'm just... protective. I want you to be safe. I want you to be good. At the same time, I want you to go your own path. And that felt so like, I don't know, this burden fell off of me, and I realized this was just in my head, and I was overthinking, and there was anxiety kicking in. But at the same time, opening up and being vulnerable and talking about it just opened the floor for my dad and I to really connect. And for me to also see the beauty in his relationship with me and my relationship with him. And so this is something that was really scary in the beginning and really amazing afterwards. And I felt
and these
so
kind of
better.
Things are... It does take courage. And a while ago, I had a similar conversation with my dad. And my mom is really against this kind of talk with my dad because... Well, my dad is not a very emotional person, maybe on the surface. At least. He has different ways of showing love, but it's not talking. It's not emotional. Yeah. He asks if I have enough money, if I have everything is fine, work is fine, and these kind of things. And whenever I want to talk about these emotional things with him, my mom's like, no, don't.
Don't open that box.
Yeah, don't open that Pandora box. You don't want to know what's inside. And... I did open the box. Well, at least I poked the box, actually. Maybe not opened it fully the other night. Because I really had it. I was like, this man has to know about this thing. Because I also find it unfair if the person you care about, you label them. As you said, for example, with your dad, you said, this man is against therapy.
Yeah.
In your mind, maybe also there's some evidence, but it's good to talk to them. To see, hey, is this really how you feel?
Yeah.
And I was so free. After that, I didn't care about his reaction. I was like, listen, this is Surush naked on a plate.
Yeah.
This is how I feel about you. Take it, or it's okay, even if you'd have no reaction. I just wanted you to know how I feel. for me, this was also very interesting. And I don't know. I always encourage people to do this thing. To don't be afraid. To don't be afraid in taking steps toward these things, because I know it can be difficult. But I will always encourage people to, if you really care about something, and especially if you care about someone, do something about it. Because one of my friend, he had the same topic with his mom, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna talk with her about this.
Yeah.
Because I don't really care. I know she's not gonna change.
Yeah.
And yeah, why? Why make both of us uncomfortable?"
Yeah. I mean, it might be true that she, like, I mean, I think the goal should also not be to change someone else.
Yeah.
So, and it might be that you get rejected for being
That is
vulnerable.
true.
But at the same time, afterwards, I think you also don't have anything to blame yourself for, right? I mean, if you opened up yourself and put yourself naked on that plate, then that's just what you did, and you can be proud of that, even though the reaction might be a negative one. In the end, there's nothing you can really blame yourself for, because you were just yourself.
Exactly. This is
with
the
good
thing.
intentions. Actually,
This is the thing. With good intentions, it's not even a bad thing. And this goes to my definition of being vulnerable. If I care about something and I really want it wholeheartedly, I want it to be on that plate. Now I look at myself as a but I want it to be on that plate, and I want this vulnerability in my life to be like a stepstone of my personality. I want to be the person who tells I love you without being scared. Or sometimes I feel like I'm scared to step towards something because I'm afraid of the result, because I think I am afraid on unpredictable things. So sometimes I might become controlling. And if I'm in an uncertain situation, I freak out. Like, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Let's make this certain.
Okay.
But I think...
How does that look like?
The uncertainty part.
Yeah.
I can give you an example of with dating.
Okay. I'm curious.
For example, I was going out with a girl a few times, and I did like her. I did really like her. And I think after we were going out for a month, and for me, if I don't really care about somebody, I skip them. I'm a little bit of a person that is a 0-1. If I truly care about somebody, I want them in my life wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And with this person, after 1 month of going out, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 dates, it was one of those moments that I was like, okay, fuck, I like her. I don't know if we're dating. I don't know what are we doing. And it was one of those things that you want to talk to her about it, but also you're scared that if you have this talk, you might, it must just be the end of everything.
Yeah,
So
like even over friendship, if there was a
yeah,
friendship.
even if it's a friendship. And well, now it's a very awkward situation, but I'm not gonna talk about it.
Feel free.
I'm gonna talk about what happened.
Yeah.
The old Surush wouldn't talk to her. Like, I was like, I'm too afraid. I don't have the courage to walk through this because I don't want to lose what we have now. But now I'm a little bit of cannot deal with uncertainty.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to make sure what's going on here. So I had the talk. I had the courage. I was literally vulnerable. I got naked on a plate.
Okay, maybe in this sense, not literally, right?
We don't know. Maybe, no. I had my clothes on, and then I told her, hey, listen, I like you, and I feel like you are a person that I can make a connection to, in a sense that I like your energy and I like the time that we hang out. And basically, I asked her, what are we doing? What is this? Is this something that you want to date, or is this something like just casual and you don't care what's gonna happen? And for me, this was already freeing. I was like, okay, I already told her.
It's out now.
It's out now. And that was the last time that was the last date that we had, because after that she told me that I'm not listen to what she told me. I can This is Soroush on a plate. This is what she told me in the best Dutch way possible, because if you don't know and you're not Dutch and you're not living here, Dutch people are very famous in being honest. Direct, super direct. In my opinion, sometimes rude, and there is a line between direct and rudeness. And one night we had a chat, and she told me that, listen, I'm not sure if I'm ready to date someone seriously. This is my plate. Okay, you add some salt. And then she was like, and if I do, I don't think you are that person.
Okay. But I mean, it's also fair, no?
It is fair.
Yeah, it hurts, but
it does hurt. It does hurt. I act very cool that night, and I was like, blah blah blah. I take it personally, of course. This is the thing about being vulnerable, and I'm telling you, it's not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy. Sometimes you have to be honestly comfortable with sitting in the pain.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel free. And I'd really rather have the freedom of always having something in my heart to tell, but not telling. I rather burn for a day or two, and then it gets it out of my system. I say, okay, at least I told her. She knew how I felt. She knew what I wanted. And then it's her choice. If she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. And I know it earlier, so even better.
Yeah.
Before it gets too serious.
Indeed.
So this was one of the example that I put myself on a plate. The plate burned a little bit on fire.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But shout out to you, and I'm sure like everyone who's listening is also like rooting for you in this. I mean, you went out there, you presented yourself, and I mean, whatever the result in the end, you're more free. And
this is the thing.
If you're not more connected with the other person, you're more connected with yourself. And
I am.
That's beautiful.
I am. Definitely I am. And this is the thing. Sometimes it's okay to sit in the unpredictable, to walk toward it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you know what you want, take the courage.
Yeah.
Take the courage that you have. If you know this thing is gonna make you happy, or even because I also talk to my friends about it. Sometimes people are not sure. You know, people are not. They want assurance. Assurance, is that the correct word?
I think so. Yeah.
They want assurance to do something before they do it.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna work.
Yeah, this is the thing. They're not happy in the relationship, but they're saying, what if I don't want somebody better? They don't like their job, but they're like, but what if I don't find a job? What if this? What if that? What if not?
They're scared of uncertainty.
They are, but listen to me. What if turns out better than what you imagined?
Yeah.
Honestly.
What if it works?
What if it does work?
Yeah.
What if it really works? And sometimes really wholeheartedly take that uncertainty, hug it, and run with it.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if you live your life like this, well, I don't promise you, don't come back to me.
Yeah.
But I think if you live your life this open, that, hey, this is the thing, I think it makes me happy, I will take the courage with me, and I will be vulnerable to move toward that something, have the conversation, tell the person I love you, ask them enough, you will be connected with them and more with yourself, which I think is the more beautiful connection.
Yeah, 100% fully agree with that. And I think, I think a lot of times if we are just like, with all that uncertainty and we don't take the courage, we risk to stay in like sort of a prison inside our mind as well.
Yeah.
Because imagine you would have kept seeing her for the next month and you kept like wanting to talk, but you're uncertain about the result, and then you're not actually the person you want to be with her.
No.
Because like
I'm not myself anymore.
There's so much going on in your head as well. And either like taking that courage and being vulnerable either brings you closer to her and this is who we are, and probably she's also gonna open up to you in a similar way.
Exactly.
Or it's gonna show you, okay, this is not my person.
No.
I can move on, and it's gonna bring you to more beautiful places. So
I think this is necessary.
If it works, if it doesn't work, I think you can be so much more happy and so much more free if you go.
I think so. But one thing that I think, again, for me in my life, this is a necessity. I'd like to walk now more in the uncertain things rather than compared to the Surush that I was 5 years ago, going back to the question that you asked. Because I have done it and I have seen beautiful results when I walk in the uncertain zone. And this is also a note maybe toward myself and maybe to the people who are listening. And maybe a complaint, because I feel like nowadays we are not that vulnerable anymore. People try to numb the feeling because they are scared. They're scared to be judged. So they numb it. I don't know. They go just drink. They take drugs to numb that feeling. They surround themselves with people to not be with themselves, or in social media.
Yeah,
and I think
exactly with that, yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're in this pretending life, in like this magical world that it's not your life that you're living.
Yeah.
And for me, again, sometimes I also walk through that path, and someone or myself have to literally get my ears and take me out of that. But I try to do it every day or every time that I feel like, okay, this is not the life I want for myself. So I will take my hand as I am my best friend, and I will guide myself toward the way that I want to live.
Thank you, man.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for sharing. That is beautiful. Yeah, and I think, that's definitely valuable to me, and for sure also to our listeners. And with that, I also want to ask, so you said like this is nowadays you feel like, I think it's probably been even like for a while, and I think especially also for men it's harder to be vulnerable. And I was wondering like also how you think of that, but I think it has also a lot to do with the stigma on like what is a man, like be a real man, you're strong, you shouldn't be like weak, you shouldn't show vulnerability because you should deal with it yourself, and all these like societal thoughts that we get imposed on. And how do you feel about that? And do you feel like men in your surroundings are also experiencing these kind of struggles because of...
That's a very good question. I do believe that men feel this definitely more, because I know it's 2023 and people say, there are no binary roles anymore and men and women are equal and blah, 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 blah. But I still believe some of us have this core idea that if a man cries, it's a problem.
Yeah. It's a weakness.
It's a weakness.
Yeah.
Because he cannot provide for me or protect me the other day, like when the danger comes. And I think if a man loses her job, maybe it's more difficult than a woman. And I think for men, because I feel like maybe it is expected, there's so much expectation from us that, be this alpha male, what does this guy call it? The top G?
Yeah.
The top G.
Yeah.
To be the top G, I think now that this is what I'm saying. Also, when you now look into the social media, people are trying to be this top G man.
Yeah.
And I think you can be that person, I'm telling you, but then that person is not you. One day you will look back at yourself, and it will be a hard day. That, am I really who I want to be, or am I this guy who everybody else on the social media wants me to be?
Yeah.
And I think for men it's more difficult, because it's more harder for them to express themselves and to be vulnerable and really put themselves on display. To say, hey, listen, I know you gave me this role at work, but I'm stressed. I have anxiety and I'm not sure if I can handle it. And I wanted you to know about this. And I do really encourage men to take a second look at themselves, maybe think about it, and maybe talk to other men and even women. It doesn't really matter. But I personally want to break this norm, because for me, gender is not a binary thing. it's a gender fluid concept in my mind, and you have this feminine and masculine energy, and some days I think you feel one more than the other.
Yeah.
At least this is how it's in my mind. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's more than okay. Again, going to the last episode, it's welcome. And it is you. And you are a human anyhow that you are. And you're loved and you're capable of love and belonging. This is my take on this topic.
I don't know what to say. So I think this is beautiful, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And I think this has been an incredible episode, especially because we prepared a lot of things for this episode and we talked about none of them.
Yeah.
We just let it flow, and
I did.
I felt so connected throughout the whole thing with you as well, and I was like really like, oh my god, yeah, this is so true. And I think I also learned and grew a lot throughout this episode. And
yeah, this is the thing. I literally had topics to talk about and things to discuss. But yeah, before the podcast, we also talked about it. That does it really resonate with our name if we just say the things that we read, but we don't necessarily not agree with, but it doesn't come from my heart.
Yeah, we don't feel it in that way. Yeah.
And again, Dennis told me that it's a podcast from the heart, and we are hearts wide open. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna put it aside. Even though it's here, it really again came from my heart, and I think that's beautiful. And again, it's a sign of vulnerability, even though maybe we were not fully prepared. But I think it's an interesting topic and a definitely interesting discussion that we had. For sure. And this is also something that we like this platform, this podcast is actually one of the ways, because Surush and I have also been really vulnerable with each other in conversations we had before. And as we told you guys before as well, this is how we actually decided, okay, let's actually record these conversations because they could be valuable to other people. And this is one of the ways how we could up even more our game of being vulnerable, I think. Yes. Because now we're not only vulnerable with each other, but with anyone who listens out there. And we're sharing stories about our families, about our day-to-day life, about our therapy, about our dating life. And everyone can listen to it. It's out in the world now. And it's a super scary feeling. I have some anxiety sometimes when I think, okay, now today we're going to talk about vulnerability. How's that gonna go? And honestly, none of the things that we discussed was things that I thought about before. So it's really just truly coming out of the heart. And I feel free right now, really free and connected as well to you, Surush, to myself, to the listeners out there. And with that, I also we wanted to extend something. So we're gonna put a couple of questions in the poll under the podcast about when was the last time you had the courage to be vulnerable, and also feel free to share with us a moment where you were vulnerable, and we invite you to also take the time, if you can't think of such a moment right now, to create that moment for yourself in the next couple of weeks and share it with us through the poll on Spotify or via DMing us on Instagram. Let us know, and also let us know if you're okay with us sharing it. We can always share anonymously, of course, but we'd love to hear from you as well how you were courageous in your life and how you were being vulnerable. Yeah, or even if you haven't, how do you want to be courageous? Like, how do you want to be compassionate? How do you want to be courageous if you haven't been already? Yeah. And how do you want to show vulnerability in your life? Which I think it's a good question, as in a good takeaway for people who are listening, to a step more toward the person that they want to be in their life. I think if you write this question down, think about it, I think you will get to know yourself a little bit, and you can take your hand and move toward that path that 100%. You want. Yeah. Amazing. So that's been it. Thank you so much for tuning in for episode 2 of the Hearts Wide Open podcast about vulnerability with Surush and Dennis, myself.
We're extending love to all of you. We hope to see you back at the next episode.
Yeah.
And until then, stay courageous, stay vulnerable. Bye bye.